So after Dream Warriors was seen as an absolute success, obviously we were going to get another sequel. And yet again, another sequel was rushed out just 1 year later. Would it live up to the previous sequel? Well, today we're going to talk about it. So, let's get spooky. Greetings everyone, my name is Nightshade, this is The Night Shift, a home for all things spooky, and today we're looking at A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, released in 1988. So this one is yet another one of my favorites. Again, I saw, 2, 3, and 4, which is this one, all in the same day back when I was a kid, and I remember really enjoying 3 and 4 a lot, and I would say that they are pretty much on par with each other, minus a couple of things. Overall, I think this one is fun. This one is much like Dream Warriors. It's a fun movie, and I'm looking forward to talking about it. But before we do, I just want to let something be known. Last week, every video was pushed back a day, and that is due to me having to re-edit it for the copyright claims that I was getting. And that one was it was pretty annoying. Not a fan of waiting an hour and a half to 2 hours for the video to upload and go through all of the checks and balances and then have to immediately delete it and go and edit out a bunch of stuff. So I'm simply just not even gonna bother putting in the clips that I want to put in. It's genuinely annoying, and I apologize. It's just my hands are tied. There's not much I can do here, so I'm just going to skip out on all of that, and you're just gonna have to deal with looking at this mug. I'll put in what I can, but it's not a lot. They're pretty aggressive over this franchise, so yeah. My hands are tied. There's not much I can do about it. I do apologize. Now that is out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the review. For this one, I'm going to be breaking it down into two categories, the positives and the negatives. Let you know what I liked about this film and what I didn't like about this film. Then when we're done with that, I'm going to talk about my favorite scene in this film and tell you exactly why it is my favorite scene. Then when we're done with that, we are going to score the video out of a possible 10 points and end the video. But here on The Night Shift, we always start things off on the bright side with... So I gotta say that the star of the show in this movie, for me personally, is the visuals. Like, we get a lot of stunning shots in this film, particularly like the church. The way that they lit the church and the way they got the light going through the church looks visually stunning. Also, the Elm Street house shots, where it's all old and decrepit, and the way that they lit that and really created an atmosphere within it, I think is also visually beautiful. And I'm also a huge fan of like the tunnel doohickey that spins, it's in a dream sequence, and Freddy's spinning it and they're all trying to walk through, and it's almost like a funhouse type of thing. I really liked the way that was shot. I thought that was absolutely beautiful. You could definitely tell that this film had a budget for cool visual effects, the sets that they built, the stuff that they did for the dream sequences and stuff. It all looks stunning, and to the point that it feels like a character in and of itself. And I don't mean that to sound pretentious at all, but it's the only way I can think to describe it is like how some people say that the Nightmare on Elm Street house is a character in and of itself. That's kind of what I mean here, is like the dream sequences, the nightmare sequences are all like their own little standalone featurette within the film. And I'm a huge fan of that. They upped the budget and they put it to good use in the visuals of this film, and for that, it has to go on the positives list. Moving right along into our next positive, we have...
Welcome to Wonderland, Alice.
So Freddy in this one is much the same as he was in the previous film. Like I said, that one, Freddy is fully realized and is continued in this film. I think Robert Englund, spitting out the one-liners and doing all the jokes and the humor and stuff, it really works in this film. It is, like I said, on par with the previous film. Again, these weren't, very far apart. These guys were pretty much filmed back to back, given the success of Dream Warriors. So Robert Englund was able to maintain the same energy, and this Freddy's pretty much identical and on par with the previous film, and I love it. That one and this one are my two favorite renditions of Freddy, because You know, just the energy's there, and it's still not over the top cartoonish yet. We'll talk about that in the next video. But as of right now, Freddy from 3 and 4 on par with each other, and they're absolutely, you know, some of my favorites. Not to mention the makeup is almost identical. I wouldn't be surprised if they used the same prosthetics and makeups that they did in the previous one. Like, a year is not enough time to you know, redo the whole makeup and sculpt all of the appliances. So I would assume that it is the same. If I'm wrong, somebody correct me in the comments below. For all of the Freddy superfans watching this video right now, let me know, is it the same makeup or did they actually do something different? To me, it looks the same, but again, you know, it's hard to tell. So on top of the visuals, absolutely, Robert Englund stole the show. He is the best part. He's the best character in this movie, hands down, bar none. We'll talk more on that later. As of right now, yeah, Freddy Krueger, he's the shit. People love Freddy Krueger. There's a handful of people that aren't a huge Freddy fan that have sounded off in a couple of the comments, and that's fine. Hey, it's not for everybody. I like Freddy Krueger. I'm gonna like Freddy Krueger, and that's all I have to say about that. You can't talk about Freddy Krueger without talking about our next and final positive, which is... So in this one, we do get some decent kills. Like, there's some that are basic, but, you know, the cool ones are really cool. Like, I'm a huge fan of, you know, the suck face, and he takes all the air out of that chick, and then she ends up dying in the middle of class. I thought that was cool. And the Roach Motel kill, also pretty cool in my book. However, you know, the invisible Freddy kung fu fighting the glove sequence, that one was fucking lame. But... you know, overall, the other kills were pretty cool. You know, obviously, kills are a big part of going to the movies and watching a slasher flick, and glad to report that the kills in this are pretty solid. They're not the best, but they are, you know, I would say, like, high middle range of kills in this franchise. And just like that, we are out of positives, which means we move on to the not so bright side of things with... So this is pretty much going to encompass everything that I have issues with this film, and that is simply the writing, or lack thereof. So I could have done several different chapters breaking down all the things that I had issues with, but all of them are a result of the writing. So I'm just going to encompass it all right here within this little segment. The writing in this is not the best. Now, this took place during a writer's strike. They only had a couple of days to, you know, rush through a script, didn't have a whole lot of time to write a script. On top of that, this takes place exactly 1 year from the previous film. So already, with that being said, they had a lot against them in terms of writing. I found every single character in this film to be extremely one note. Like, there's not a whole lot of personality there. And, you know, I know that this is a slasher film, and, you know, most people are written to be cannon fodder. I get that. However, I enjoy having stakes. You know, you get to know a person, you get to know a character, so whenever they finally meet their untimely demise at the hand of whatever slasher movie you're watching, I'd like to, you know, have a little bit of a personal connection, because I want this person to make it, but I also don't want that person to make it. But, you know, I want there to be some sort of stakes, and that's all due to good writing. You know, like, if you write a good character, you don't want to see that character die. That way, whenever they do die, it does hold a little bit more of an emotional weight to it. And I simply just find all of these characters to be half-baked and not fully realized, and just painfully one note. Like, I couldn't even root for Alice. Like, I just couldn't bring myself to give a fuck about any of these characters, and they're like personalities that you could pull from a hat. Like, here's character traits, grab 2, that's your character. Like, it just felt fucking lame, and that is unfortunate, and that's due to the writing of this film, or lack thereof. You know, making a movie, not easy. Not an easy thing to do. And it's probably even harder to do with, you know, a half fucking baked script and scenes that needed to be written on the day. On the day of shooting, there was a handful of instances where that was in fact the case. It's a poorly written film, but it's still fun. It's still a fun film. It's just the writing is so bad. Like even just the way that they defeated Freddy, you know, like evil looks at its own face. Rah, mirror, dead. Fuck you. Some people that don't give a shit about the writing, they just want to see Freddy do what Freddy does best. And you know, so if you're one of those people, you're going to enjoy this film because Freddy is, you know, front and center in this film, and he does what he does best in this film. So if you're a person that doesn't care about story writing and stuff, and you just want to show up to see Freddy kill, you're going to have a good time with this one. And that's going to do it for the negatives list. Again, it was just one really glaring negative that I had with this film, but everything else in this movie is still pretty fun. Now that the review portion is done, let's go ahead and move on to our next segment, which is... I would say that even though it's dumb the way it comes about, my favorite scene in this is when Freddy is actually killed. Like, again, I think it's dumb that, you know, evil looks at its own face, and that's what kills him, but as he's being killed, it looks really fucking cool. There's like a lot of things going on here. I was a huge fan of the hands like holding him back and tearing him to shreds, and then, you know, you see like faces protruding out of his face with like latex, and it's a visually appealing kill. I love it. This is the reason that I love, you know, practical effects, because, you know, that was the majority of that is an in-camera type of thing. Obviously there had to be cuts to add more and more like puppetry to it, but it just looks so fucking cool. And like, if I had an unlimited budget, I would definitely have, like, in the background here, I would have a Freddy with all the shit coming out of him. Because it looks cool, and it looks cool, and I'm sure that was like a fun project to do. Like, I bet the effects workers had a blast with that scene, because again, it's fun, it looks cool, and I love it. And that's why it is my favorite scene. With all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and score this thing and get out of here. When it comes to A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, I'm going to give this one a solid 7 out of 10. It's a solid entry into the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. It's a lot of fun. It's just bad writing. It's poorly written, so, you know, like, that does take a lot of the enjoyment of the film out of it for me. Although this one's not my favorite, it's still, you know, in the upper echelon of my rankings of the franchise. You know, it only goes down from here. So that is just about going to do it for me. If you like the video, let me know by leaving me a like. Comment down below what you want to see on the channel next. I will do my best to accommodate. I really will. And until next time, my name is Nightshade. This has been The Night Shift, and I will see you in the next video. Stay spooky, my friends.